I'm Sherry Tunney for the Marine Canvas Training Institute. Today we will demonstrate the making of a bimini top with enclosure. We'll show you how to lay out the patterns to avoid waste and how to cut and sew them together quickly. Our goal, as always, is to demonstrate how to increase your profits through the efficient use of materials and labor, while at the same time turning out top quality marine products. Let's meet Don Wedge, President of the Marine Canvas Training Institute. Hi, Don.
Hi, Sherry.
Don, even though your students may master the skills that have made you a leader in the canvas fabrication industry, just how important is the material that they use?
Well, Sherry, the material that we use makes the difference whether we can turn out a quality product that we demand from our shop and that our customers have come to expect.
So where do you go to get this top quality material?
Well, Sherry, we use mainly Unitex, who is a national supplier of Sunbrella and Gore-Tex thread. The reason we use Unitex is because they have good service and are competitively priced.
Now, what about Sunbrella?
We use Sunbrella because Sunbrella is the material that's guaranteed for 5 years. It has a full color line that matches our customers' needs, and we also use Gore-Tex thread, which is guaranteed for the life of the product.
So it's safe to say that by utilizing Sunbrella material, Gore-Tex sewing thread, and the services of Unitex, you're pretty much guaranteed a top quality product.
That's right, Sherry. Now we can go back to work.
Okay.
Hello. Today our project is to sew up a bimini top with a full enclosure. Now we're going to start with one of the curtains on the enclosure and do one, and then it becomes repetition after that. What we do on this particular one, this happens to be the starboard curtain for a full bimini enclosure. We use a lot of flat binding to stabilize the edge of the curtain. We're using an off-color binding just so that it shows up better. It doesn't happen to be the color that we'd be doing the project out of. But this is what we call flat binding, where we're laying the binding on the edge of the curtain and sewing it down on the other edge. So if we were doing this job all out of grape, then we would be using this binding. Now while she's sewing this down, I want to mention a couple of things about binding, okay? Acrylic binding is made two ways and two different sizes. It's made in 3/4 inch and 1 inch. And it's also made square cut and bias cut, and different companies do it different ways. So you have to learn how to handle it. Square cut will not stretch as much as bias cut. What the facts of life are that when you're sewing it down, don't be pulling on it. You'll notice that Becky is just laying it down and sewing it. Because if she were to hold it up tight and pull on it, she could shrink the product. Especially if it was a bias binding, it has a tendency to stretch a little bit when you're sewing it. Then when you let go of it, it sucks the curtain right up and makes it smaller. What she's doing here is sewing the flat binding on the front edge, the aft edge, and the top edge. Then she's going to sew a facing across the bottom edge that'll be a 2-inch finish facing, and that's where the snaps are going to be on the boat. So the vinyl's doing two jobs. It's reinforcing the acrylic to support the snaps, and the acrylic is acting as a facing that blends the borders of the curtain in with the color of the top. And I explained before why we're using different colors, just for purposes of demonstration. We put our facings on the outside of the curtains. We also put our flat binding on first on the ends and the top. Then we put the bottom facing on so that it overlaps them. Just looks nicer on the boat. In this case, the curtain has got a straight bottom, so we're using a straight facing. If it had a curve in the bottom, we would have cut a shaped facing to sew on the bottom so that we wouldn't have to have any darts or wrinkles in it. And here's another place when you're working with Sunbrella, make sure that you lay it down and sew it. Don't be pulling and tugging on it. It's a woven material it's a very good material, but you have to learn how to work with it. The next step that Becky has to do is trim these corners out and then bind this all the way around. And when you're putting binding on these curtains, and we happen to be working with a very light gauge of clear vinyl, but regardless, when you're binding these curtains, it works a lot better to turn the curtain over and have the material down and the clear vinyl up. That way it doesn't have a tendency to drag on the machine. It also keeps it from stretching it or shrinking it or whatever it's trying to do to you. You'll notice that we have a blue background on the table. This was put on here to help show the different parts. That's not what we would normally have on our table. By the same token, if you're doing an enclosure out of 40 mil clear vinyl, which is highly polished, you've got to pad your table somehow. So we have a big cover that goes on this table so that we don't scratch the glass. And don't use Sunbrella or something like that to make the cover, because it will scratch the glass. Use a soft material.
I'm not going to bind all the way around. I'm not going to bind all the way around because you can see that all the edges get done the same.
Hold that up so everybody can see back.
Okay, what you can see here is the bound edge after it's all put down in place. This is what it looks like from the top side. I'm going to flip it over. This is what it looks like from the underneath side. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew the zipper that goes along the top edge. If you can look, I've got the zipper start marked here, which is what I transferred from the underside, and the zipper stop here. That was transferred also. This being a top zipper, it's going to get laid up to the edge with the teeth off of the edge, just like this. You can see it goes from start along here to the stop.
Okay, now while she's sewing that on, I'm going to show you how we cut that particular zipper, because all of these zippers have been cut to a particular length. And the next zipper that she's going to need is going to require a 21-inch zipper. And how do I know that? I have a zipper laying over here that was pulled off of the rack, and down here on the plastic tab it was written 21 inches. And it has to be cut to that particular length. So now I'm going to show you how to make a 24-inch zipper into a 21-inch zipper. I have the ruler and my zipper laying here side by side, with the ruler at the start of the zipper, and where 21 hits, pardon me, up here, I'm going to put a dot on each side of the zipper tape, or each side of the teeth on the zipper tape, and that is where the exact stop on that zipper is. I'll slide the slider back. I'm going to cut one tooth past where the stop is. So you'll notice that I still have the zipper laying here with the dots on it where the stop has to be. I'm going to cut 2 extra teeth off of the waist from the zipper. And when I get done being clumsy so I can pick it up, I'm going to bring it up here and tuck it in between the first 2 teeth on that zipper. And that's what it looks like before is finished off. My ruler and all my tools out of the way, and take the hot knife and come over here and cut this cloth tab off. And your hot knife can be jockeyed on and off with the trigger so it don't get too hot, because if it gets red hot, it'll fry this and it'll set it on fire. Blow on it, because that stuff will hurt your nose and your eyeballs. Seal the end of the tape. Knock the edge of the material off the end of that tooth. Same way over here. Seal the end of the tape. And weld those 3 teeth together. Turn it over. Weld it on the other side. And that's about as close as you can get to making a factory stop that's not made at the factory. But now this gives them an exact length of a zipper that must get from the start to the stop. Now, Becky, which half do you need on a 21-inch zipper?
This is the starboard, so
You need the
side curtain. This
pin.
is pin.
Okay.
What I have here in front of me before I start is the finished zipper sewn into place across the top of the curtain. You can see what it looks like with the teeth off of the edge. Okay, the up and down zipper gets sewed with the curtain wrong side up or facing you. Here is the zipper start, which we had indicated on our clear vinyl before when we cut it out. And down here is the stop. This zipper starts at the top and zips down on the curtain. The zipper gets placed on the edge, on this edge of the curtain with the teeth flush of the edge. You don't want them sticking off like it does up here at the top. So I'm going to start this up here at the start. I use my fingers along here, and I can butt the tape up to my fingers, which is up even with the bound edge. And you can see where it lies right along here along the stitch line.
Part of the reason we put these vertical zippers on in this fashion is that we don't have an overlap on our curtains. But you'll find that when you do this, as you're sewing it on, it kind of sucks that zipper back away from the edge just a little bit, which when you put the 2 curtains together with a zipper, it forces them up into a little peak so that you don't get any leakage.
This is what the zipper looks like along the vertical edge with the teeth butted up to the bound edge.
And that, folks, is all it takes to complete a curtain for a bimini top enclosure.
We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, the people from Glen Raven Mills Incorporated, who manufacture Sunbrella, Unitex Incorporated, a nationwide distributor, and W.L. Gore & Associates, using creative technologies worldwide in the making of Gore-Tex sewing thread. Join us again when we show you how to increase your profits and save time and effort with the Marine Canvas Training Institute programs.
Sherry, you know you've done a fantastic job, but you know what?
What?
I'm sick of working. Let's go fishing.
Okay, Don, let's finish.
Are you ready?